I've hosted tournaments for a lot of different anime games. Demon Slayer, Naruto Storm, Dragon Ball FighterZ, My Hero One's Justice, Kill la Kill, and even Jump Force. And let me tell you, by far, the hardest one to do was Naruto to Boruto Shinobi Striker. I really applaud the Shinobi Striker community for being able to even have a competitive scene. No matter what I say, good or bad during this video, the fact that they have a scene when the game so actively fights against it is worth praising. Because the thing about Shinobi Striker is, let's say you log in and you have a team of friends ready to play with. What options do you have when you talk to Shikamaru at the top of the staircase? Do you see any options for a custom match? Do you see an option to invite another team to play against you? No. When it's time to play in a tournament, what these guys do is they get on the same PlayStation party so they can voice chat with each other. First, they figure out if they're on the same server, like America or Europe. And once they figure that out, they go 3, 2, 1, and they queue at the same time. They are relying on random matchmaking to get into that same match. What happens if they don't find each other? Oh, we'll get to that. And because the game doesn't have the option for custom matches, it also doesn't have the option for spectators. So if I want to watch a game, how do I do it? I've done tournaments for a lot of games that don't have a spectator mode, and usually what happens is you ask one of the players to share play with you. That is the PlayStation option to share their own screen with someone else. But in this case, even that doesn't work, because if I do that, I can only spectate one of the teams. So what needs to happen for Shinobi Striker is each team needs to have a dedicated streamer stream their match to YouTube and then send me the link to that stream. So I can grab both links and alternate between the two. Yep, very fun. But I still wanted to experience what it was like to host a tournament for this community, and the reason I did this was because I looked at this scene, I looked at the tournaments they were having, and what I saw were players that were so passionate about the scene that they have all of this stuff on lockdown. They already know how to do all of this. But then the spectator experience is not the best. Fleaboy Jetson here has done a great job developing the scene, but with only one person, it's hard to deliver a good player experience as well as a good spectator experience at the same time. And so I wanted to help out. I wanted to level up the entire scene so I could show everyone the beauty of competitive Shinobi Striker, and hopefully showing Bandai as well that adding a custom match option to the game would bring it a lot of value. Because if you make this process easier for us, we can invite a lot more new players to join the scene, since they don't have to learn how to queue simultaneously and how to figure out if they're in the same zone and all of that stuff. And on the other hand, we can provide a much better stream for all the spectators. And I gotta say, all the Shinobi Striker tournaments that I held, because I had to do 3 of them, one wasn't painful enough, all of them had more viewers than I usually have on my normal streams. So there is an audience out there ready for Shinobi Striker competitive. That said, I had to set up my stream for the first tournament completely blind. So here's what I prepared. I had a scene for each team, full screen, that I could switch on demand with a sliding animation, clearly showing that we're switching between 2 perspectives. I then also created 2 split screen views, 1 vertical and 1 horizontal. And just like that, we were ready to have our first live stream. Immediately, I ran into some issues that I wasn't expecting. For instance, the streams for both teams might not be synced up. If you look at this team's in-game clock, you'll see that they're at 5 minutes and 6 seconds, and the other team is, well, a little behind. So now I have to pause the first stream and wait for the second one to catch up so both perspectives are perfectly synchronized. And I had to do this for every single match. But before this first game even started, we had a whole 30 minutes of waiting for a match to happen. Teams were sending links and trying to queue up and find their opponents. And when you're unlucky, it just won't happen. Teams can get what they call a misqueue, which is when you don't find an opponent in a queue. You find someone random or someone just disconnects from the lobby. What happens then? Well, the team has to close the game. And when they close the game, the stream goes down. Because most of these players are streaming directly from PlayStation. With no game, PlayStation just cuts off the stream, and you have to start from scratch. You have to launch the game again, get in the lobby, invite your team back together, get another stream going, and send me the link. It's quite a long process. Surprisingly though, after that first match, the rest kind of followed pretty quickly, and we progressed all the way to the finals, where I'm gonna give you a little taste of how things went. Oh, down goes the range type, switching over to another loadout, but will they make it in time? That's a big lead, and we're about to close it.
What are they gonna do?
Get A.
And the range is resetting it almost.
Is
right,
there,
they got E.
Is there
They
another
got
cap?
A.
Is there another cap? Because you need another one right now to send this into overtime.
Nox might have it. I mean, Kisa might have it. The triple cap again.
The triple cap! This might be it! The nail in the coffin!
They got it! Let's go!
The first event was a success, but there was a lot that we needed to improve on. For instance, sometimes it's hard to keep track of who you're spectating. Here's an example. You're spectating Team Phobia, and from their perspective, they're the blue team, and they're currently 1 kill behind, as you can see on the top left. But now, we switch perspectives, and you're watching Team Nox. But if you look at the HUD, you're still watching the blue team, and now it's the red ones that are losing the game. So it was very easy to lose track of who you were watching. And I also realized that every time we switched to that horizontal split screen, it was a bad experience. Very bad to understand understand what was happening, not enough space to really understand the game. And I also needed to fill in the time between matches, because sometimes the wait between games could be very long. So with all of those lessons, it was time to upgrade and jump into the second tournament. By far the biggest upgrade was the names on the teams. Not only did you have it in big letters at the top who you were spectating, you could always look at the left side of the screen too and quickly figure out who was in front. We used green and purple colors for the different team as to not clash with the blue and red from the game, and I think that made things a lot clearer. And thanks to the small change, you could actually watch such a close match like this and not lose track of who was winning.
Karma's still almost ready for ghouls. They got the range.
There
they lost their own range again. They lost level 3!
1 kill to go for both teams as the defense type gets the Karma ult, but is knocked out for a while. They're trying to chase them down
because they're only in a 2v4 right now. Half of Ghoul's team is dead still.
Yeah, and this
ATK
attack
is in their spawn 4v1.
Is this it? It is
There we go!
And that's not all I did for the second tournament. Because we needed to fill some time in between matches, I was able to put together a little tool that shows you highlights of every single match. It's not looking as good as I wanted to, but it definitely helped us fill the time. However, just like the first event, it took us close to 30 minutes at the start of the stream to get the first match. So it was time to level up again for the third tournament. And this time, we were gonna have more help in the background. So for the next tournament, Fleaboy Jetson and Zaremga, who had been commentating with me, they are both staying in the background, coordinating players and getting links for their streams. So I and another commentator could just focus full time on the stream because we got their help on the background. But nothing could have prepared me for the plot twist that would happen in the third tournament. Fleaboy Jetson and Zaremga are nowhere to be seen. We cannot reach out to them. We don't know where they are. So I have no choice but to cancel today's event. It was unfortunate because the teams were ready to play, but we didn't even know what teams were playing in this edition of the tournament. We needed the tournament organizers and they didn't show up. Now I've talked to them in the meantime and they had very good reasons to miss this event. It wasn't neglect, it was just very unfortunate personal circumstances. But if anything, I hope this shows everyone how much we need custom games, how much we need custom matches in Shinobi Striker. Because the only reason we needed 2 commentators plus 2 tournament organizers to run this third event is because it's so complicated for players to find each other. If you remove this barrier with custom games, then tournaments become a lot easier to organize, to the point that I think a lot more content creators would jump on the chance to host these. Because looking at the views I got during the stream and the donations, I'd say there's a lot of good content to make there. But anyway, this was a lot of hard work. I'm happy I got to discover the competitive side of Shinobi Striker a little bit better, and it couldn't have happened without Fleaboy Jetson and the people in his server. I'll leave a link to the Discord down below once again in case you guys want to learn and get into Shinobi Striker competitive. But on a less serious note, here's the competitive world of Dragon Ball Final Bout. I invited a bunch of content creators to fight in the worst Dragon Ball game of all time, and it went about as well as you'd expect. Thanks for watching. Bye.